on the last full day of campaigning in the 2024 race as the candidates make their final pitch to voters in the most critical battlegrounds. Former President Trump making 4 stops across 3 states today as Vice President Harris goes all in on Pennsylvania with 4 stops across the Commonwealth. Speaking this morning in North Carolina, Mr. Trump surprising the crowd with a new message on immigration and Mexico.
If they don't stop this onslaught of criminals and drugs coming into our country, I'm going to immediately impose a 25% tariff on everything they send in to the United States of America. You're the first ones I've told it to. Congratulations, North Carolina. Because if that doesn't work, I'll make it 50. And if that doesn't work, I'll make it 75 for the tough guys, and I'll make it 100.
Now, it comes as the former president has also closed in these final days with ramped up rhetoric and violent imagery with new attacks against his opponents and also the press.
The image of our country is terrible. It's terrible. It's a failed country. It's a very demonic party. It's become that way. And I have this piece of glass here, but all we have really over here is the fake news, right? And to get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news. You're stupid. You're stupid. They're terrible people. There's something wrong with them, actually. There are a lot of things wrong with them. If she wins, you will live the rest of your life as second-class citizens in your own country.
Meanwhile, Vice President Harris is closing with a more traditional and cautious approach with appeals for unity while ratcheting down the attacks on her rival, purposely not mentioning Mr. Trump by name during an event in Michigan last night, even though she's repeatedly called him out by name as unstable and unhinged over the last week. Today in Pennsylvania, the vice president leaning on that unity message, talking to canvassers in Scranton.
This whole era of this other guy, what it's done with all that talk that's been about trying to have us point fingers at each other and divide each other, it makes people feel alone. It makes them feel like there's nobody standing with them. As we are getting out the vote, as we are canvassing, let's be intentional about building community, about building coalitions, about reminding people we all have so much more in common than what separates us.
Now, the shift is coming on the heels of a shocking poll out of Iowa showing Harris up 3 points over Trump in a state that former President Trump won by 8 points in 2020. Helping drive that number, a massive gender gap with Harris up 20 points among women. It comes as our final NBC News poll shows a neck-and-neck race nationally and a massive gender gap there as well of more than 30 points. Let's get right to the very latest from both campaigns and from the trail with our NBC News team. Garrett Haake is in Pittsburgh ahead of the former president's event there later this evening. Gabe Gutierrez is in Allentown, Pennsylvania, where the vice president campaigned earlier today. Maura Barrett is in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, tracking reaction to that very surprising poll I just mentioned. And Antonia Hilton is in Battleground, North Carolina, where Mr. Trump campaigned earlier today. He added new stops in this final stretch. Garrett, let's start with you. It's the very last day of the campaign. We heard Mr. Trump debuting that new message on immigration, essentially promising new tariffs on Mexican goods unless illegal immigration stops. What does that tell you about the view within the campaign and his strategy in these closing hours?
Well, look, I think it tells you a couple of things, Kristen. First of all, there is no policy problem to Donald Trump that cannot be solved with a skillful application of tariffs. He's believed this throughout his political career. He's doubled down on it time and time again. In this campaign, he did so again today. Second, I think it shows us what we know has always been the case, the ad hoc nature of policy development in Trump world. It's entirely possible that that policy announcement was news to his campaign staff. I've not seen anything else from the campaign about it today. I've not seen a press release or a Truth Social post. And I think, finally, it shows that Donald Trump is still looking for a way to kind of solidify what has been a polling lead on the economy among voters, but to kind of really get the hooks in people, particularly his core supporters, who will vote on Election Day, give them one last reason to turn out if they've not been paying attention to his policies thus far to do so.
Garrett, take us inside the campaign. What's the temperature? What's the mood? Obviously, they are publicly projecting confidence, but what's your indication privately?
Yeah, publicly projecting confidence and using publicly available data to do so, Kristen. The campaign has yet to open up its internals and show us what their data shows, which I think is the kind of thing that suggests the picture they may be looking at internally isn't as rosy as what they are projecting externally. Now, the former president has been adding events these last couple of days. You noted that he's in North Carolina today. That's a state that his campaign or members of his campaign were telling me as recently as a week or two ago they thought they had in the bag. His behavior and the campaign's rhetoric are not necessarily in alignment here on that confidence. I think what we have heard from Trump in the last few days in his interview with Dasha Burns over the weekend and with John Karl of ABC News, a little bit more openness to suggesting the possibility entering his mind that he might lose, which is not the kind of thing that he ever entertains on the campaign trail, certainly not in front of an audience where even today he continues to say that the only way he'll lose is by cheating, kind of planting the seeds to dispute yet another election's results.
Yeah, and Garrett, what's notable, of course, that reporting you have comes against the backdrop of this gender gap that we saw in our poll and certainly in that Iowa poll. How concerned is the campaign, is Donald Trump about that?
Well, look, Donald Trump has kind of personally rejected the idea that he has problems with women, although there's been reporting that he's been asking friends and allies about ways that he might turn it around. The simple reality here, Kristen, is that this ship has already sailed a long time ago. I mean, Donald Trump never made any significant move towards the center or real significant move to reach out to women, except for the program that he sort of floated in an interview with NBC News about paying for IVF treatments for all Americans, and then almost entirely dropped from his stump speech after that. I think the Trump gender gap view here is that they have to simply maximize the end of the gap that works for them. That's turnout with men, jacking it up for them, depressing it with Harris's supporters. That's what they've been talking about the campaign's last days. That's what I expect we'll hear from the former president tonight in Pittsburgh.
All right. Garrett Haake, home stretch. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Great stuff. Gabe.